Hello everyone, tonight on the program, a common currency for trading and the AfCFTA almost ready. Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat, Kelly Mene, has been speaking at a ceremony to honor businessman Daniel Macaulay. We'll be hearing from him. Also coming up tonight, the Central Regional Police investigating circumstances which led to an attack on a bullion van at Gomwa Okreko in Kaswa, Winneba, Thursday. Meanwhile, former president of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Andani, is backing calls for the June-ending deadline for deployment of armored vehicles by banks to cut bulk cash to be reviewed. Also in the bulletin tonight, Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, elected president of the African Organization for Standardization. We will be hearing from him tonight on the program. That's all on Business Live tonight after this break. Major commodities as we end trading on the commodity market this week and head into a weekend. Let's begin with trading. The proliferation of currencies on the African continent is said to be a setback to the promotion of regional trade. This challenge will soon be a thing of the past as work on the Pan-African payment system by the Africa Exim Bank and the Continental Free Trade Secretariat nears completion. Speaking at a public lecture in honor of businessman Daniel Macaulay, Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat, Kelly Mene, hinted that work on the common trading currency is far advanced. Here's a report.
The General Secretary of the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat, Kelly Mene, who was the guest speaker, believed a common payment system will help reduce the use of individual countries' currency, which is costing African countries about $5 billion annually. He also called for time to allow for negotiations to be completed whilst trading is ongoing.
One of the mechanisms that the Secretariat is also developing, a technological platform, is a Pan-African payments and settlement platform, which we are designing in collaboration with Afrexim Bank. We know that on the African continent, there is a high cost of currency convertibility. We have 42 currencies. If you want to trade across regions of Africa, you first have to convert your local currency into the dollar, and then the recipient also has to convert the dollars into their local currency when they are counter trading. This is estimated to cost Africa up to $5 billion in transaction costs that flow out of the continent annually. With the deployment of the Pan-African Payments and Settlement Platform, the Secretariat and Afrexim Bank intend to confront some of the challenges that are related to the cost of currency convertibility.
Daniel Macaulay used the opportunity to announce a proposal to establish an African Center of Trade Research at the Law Faculty of the University of Professional Studies. He is confident that such a research center will promote the importance of regional trade on the continent.
In the next couple of months, actually, Africa is a green market, and we need to have a research center into African business. As you rightly heard, Singapore alone is contributing to the global economy 6%. Africa, 54 countries or 52 countries who have signed the treaty are only contributing 2% into the global economy. It's a shame. And I can tell you, Singapore is just a small place. Why can't we also look at what is happening around the world and see how we can contribute towards trade? So this is why the research center is very important.
He also donated a bus to the school to aid in their transportation system.
Now, country manager for accounting firm PwC Ghana, Vish Ashagbo, has expressed confidence that the country's entire financial system has been strengthened to support post-COVID-19 pandemic economic growth. According to him, though challenges with cost of lending lingers, efforts are being made by the banks to ensure that critical sectors of the economy receive adequate funding.
Again, we're talking here about the financial sector. Again, we're talking here about the financial sector, so it's not just the banks. There's a whole ecosystem of pensions, of capital markets, etc., etc. But overall, I think that we're actually quite fortunate because some of the reforms that we've gone through over the last 3-4 years, I think have put the whole financial system on a stronger footing to support the post-pandemic recovery. So in simple terms, I think absolutely the financial sector is strong and is able to support the recovery that
when it comes to lending to private sector, not only to government, but I mean to the private sector.
Yes, you see,
the cost of lending.
The cost of lending is an issue. Hopefully, in due time, we'll see that addressed. But you spoke about lending and lending to, let's say, the real sector as opposed to government. These are commercial issues or commercial decisions that the banks have to take because, as we said in the course of our panel contributions, that banks are actually commercial organizations. They need to make a return. So they're assessing the risk in the market, the risk in certain businesses, the risk in certain sectors. If they feel sufficiently able to mitigate those risks, they'll definitely go ahead and make that lending. So it's a balance. They operate based on a portfolio. They'll have some investments in government securities. They will invest in the real sectors of the economy, but it all depends on the risk-return equation.
Well, speak of post-COVID-19 recovery, the Ghana Hotels Association says its members are undertaking cost-cutting measures due to the pandemic, which has dealt a great blow to the hospitality industry. Latest GDP figures released by the Ghana Statistical Service revealed that the tourism and hospitality subsector contracted by 10.7%, whilst the economy expanded by 3.1% in the first quarter of this year. Now, according to President of the Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike Jr., the need for the industry to re-strategize cannot be overemphasized. He spoke earlier on the marketplace.
We are hoping so, especially with the launch of the domestic tourism promotion. We are hoping that the measures that the tourism authority and then the ministry, and of course supported by the president of the land, are putting in, it will hinder some growth in the economy. And you see, people use disposable income for tourism. So once there's some extra income for citizens, then they want to venture some tourism. Otherwise, we'll have to be where we are.
All right, Doc, in just a minute, I would want to take you back to one of your submissions where you stated clearly that some of your members, some hotels, are re-strategizing to take advantage of the reopening of the economy. How best can your association in this regard tap into what is happening currently so you don't miss out on the entire picture?
Okay, but now what is going on is that we are encouraging our members to get into some form of partnership with our colleagues in the industry. For instance, we have the tour operators, the car renters. These are bodies that we work with within the industry to promote packages to people to embark on tourism. And again, we have also embarked on managing the few resources that we have in terms of education and in terms of training to cut down costs in terms of cost management so that at least there's some profit margins in it. And of course, we are also pushing for the online market, the social media marketing. We are getting our members to go more in that direction because doing the business as usual in the past, it's not taking anybody anywhere. So we are pushing for that.
Well, away from news on the impact of COVID-19, let's turn to transport. Minister for Railways Development, John Peter Amewu, has assured that the working conditions of rail workers will be improved through significant infrastructure investment. According to him, the sector pays poorly due to lack of investment. Now, he was speaking at an engagement with the Workers' Union as part of a working visit to inspect rail lines in the Western region. Here's more.
The Ghana Railway Workers' Union, in a welcome address to the minister, lamented poor conditions of service and inability of retired staff to live a decent life after service. According to them, the situation is having an adverse effect on the productivity since the sector is not paying as compared with other sectors of the economy. Addressing the workers at Ideba, the Minister for Railways, John Peter Amewu, assured that the challenge of inadequate infrastructure funding for existing railway lines will be addressed in order to revamp their operations.
If you are able to haul at least 5 million metric tons within a year, do you know the revenue that will come to you? Ghana government will come and borrow from you people. And that is where you must go. And that is the area we are looking at. So to pave the way to make sure that your salaries and your living conditions improve, we must begin to revamp the industry. A dying industry without any incentives for revenue cannot continue to exist on its own. Today, if I instruct the general manager or the acting MD, please go and triple everybody's salary. Because whatever you pay is gotten from your internal revenue. If I say, okay, please go and pay everybody 3 times the money, he cannot do it. He cannot do it because the infrastructure that will generate the revenue is not available. And that is why the attention of government is that let's quickly put out the infrastructure, let's put more rolling stocks, on the line for them to generate revenue and start paying.
General Secretary for the Workers' Union, Godwill Intama, in an interview with Joy Business, charged the minister to urgently fix their working conditions and also support the revival of the Awaso Bauxite Company, which gives haulage contract to the company. He further disclosed that the first time in many years, 75,000 tons of manganese was hauled through rail transport from Awaso in May this year.
Railway sufferings are not new sufferings to the whole world or Ghana. Even some years back, even paying salaries was a problem. Currently, those salaries are being paid. The salaries are very low to the extent that His Excellency the President himself, even in 2020 August, promised to do something about the low level of salaries. And so that is what we are waiting for. In spite of that, we as workers are also trying our best to make sure that we sustain our company. Just last month, the tonnage of manganese we hauled was about 75,000 tons. Despite the fact that the spare parts and other things that we are expecting have not even come. It tells you that when we are motivated, the commitment is there. We can do a lot for this nation.
John Peter Amewu and the delegation from the ministry earlier paid a courtesy call on the Oman Hene of Iskado, Nana Kobina Nketia V.
We'll be taking a short break soon, but first this story. Good news, in fact. The 23rd General Assembly of the African Organization for Standardization has elected the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Dodu, as its next president. He will succeed Charles Boto Ngong when he steps down in June 2022 after the unanimous victory in Kigali, Rwanda. In his speech after the win, Professor Dodu expressed gratitude to member states for the trust and confidence reposed in Ghana and his candidature. There
have been a lot of attempts to have free trade among Africa because intra-Africa trading will boost us. My prayer is that ASO will lead the trading between nations. My prayer is that we will become the catalyst for that change. And so, as I work with the president in the transition year, the vision I will support ASO to have just 4. 1, sustainability of ASO, including financial sustainability. Without having money, we cannot develop, we cannot expand, and we cannot set our own agenda. And it's very important ASO sets its own agenda. The second one is how can ASO boost intra-Africa trade through industrialization, through the use of standards, through mutual recognition arrangements, and any other means that will let us trade with each other within the continent. So for me, I've actually changed the theme to say boosting inter-Africa trade is one continent, one standard, one test, one certificate accepted everywhere.
Congratulations to Professor Alex Dodu, who is President-elect of the African Organization for Standardization. He is currently the Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority. Congratulations once again, sir. You're watching Business Live. Still to come, the Central Regional Police investigating the circumstances which led to the attack on a bullion van at Gomwa Okreko at Kaswa on Thursday. Meanwhile, former president of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Andani, is backing calls for the June deadline for deployment of armored vehicles by banks to cut cash to be reviewed.
These are specialized vehicles that have to be imported and all of that. So I'm sure some space will be given for banks to comply.
We'll have more on that and other stuff. Welcome back to Business Live. My name is Darryl. I'll begin this next segment with a statement from the Bank of Ghana directing banks, specialized deposit-taking institutions to abolish unfair fees. And so that's that on your screen right now. It says that the Bank of Ghana has directed banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions to abolish unfair fees, charges, and other practices in the banking sector. Now, this is in line with this mandate to deal with unlawful or improper practices of banks and SDIs under Section 3 of the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 2016 Act 930, and to ensure that the interests of customers of banks and SDIs are adequately protected. Now, they include credit insurance premium, overcharges, maintenance fees on savings accounts, over-the-counter withdrawal charges, change of ownership of collateral documents, application of interest on penal charges, quotation of monthly interest rates on credit facilities, and third-party deposit or withdrawal violations. It goes on to say these practices, the central bank says, are deemed to be unfair, inappropriate, and detrimental to the financial inclusion agenda and the protection of customers' interests. Now, the Central Regional Police say they are investigating the circumstances which led to the attack on a bullion van at Gomwa Okreko at Kaswa Winneba Thursday. The van came under attack but was rescued by the police patrol team. Central Regional Police PRO DSP Irene Sawapong has been providing updates.
17th of June 2020 at 7 p.m., an extract of occurrence was received from Winneba Police Station to the effect that a bullion van with registration number JN 695617 on board by Jane Sergeant Frank Ajimai and two others, including the driver, who was coming from Zenith Bank Odoko branch, were attacked by an unknown persons who shot into the van when they got in between Ochereko and Dominase Highway, heading towards Winneba branch. They went to the police station to report, and the Winneba police gave them an escort, additional van with police officers to escort them from Winneba to Zenith Bank Odoko. Currently, the case is under investigations, and whatever comes out will be shared.
Well, so former president of the Ghana Association of Bankers, Al-Hassan Andani, is backing calls for the June ending deadline for deployment of armored vehicles by banks to cut bull cash to be reviewed. The Inspector General of Police, James Opombuenu, has directed banks to have all their vehicles for cutting of currencies to be fully fortified by the end of this month or risk losing their services. Former MD of Bank of Africa, Menson Tokunu, was the first to have called for a review of this directive. Now, Mr. Andani says a little extension will see all banks fully comply. He was speaking on PM Express Business Edition.
Well, it's the stage of development of the economy. So we, in terms of investment by banks, thanks to technology, banks have been able to put in significant infrastructure to facilitate payments or cashless payments. However, we're evolving as an economy from very heavy cash dealing. So now we kind of in between transitioning from cash to cashless payment. And it's all a set of mindset change and education, and also just ensuring that the payers and also the traders have all the infrastructure available to transition into cash-like or cashless economy. But it's a transition. We've seen significant drop in the amount of cash that was being paid. But you wouldn't just, it's not a snap of the finger and people would just transition to cash-less or cash-like economy. It's a process that is ongoing at the moment. The leadership of the Banking Association have already articulated this position to the leadership of the Ghana Police Service. We can understand the anxiety and we are very concerned. There have been significant loss of lives and protecting cash. This is a service they are doing to the Ghanaian public. And while the money and the intent and the commitment is there by banks, these are specialized vehicles that have to be imported and all of that. So I'm sure some space will be given for banks to comply. And already there are some armored vehicles or bullion banks already in the system. Certainly not enough, but I'm sure the authorities will work with the banks, given the reality of the situation that these vehicles have to be procured from outside the country and shipped in and cleared and all the licensing done to deploy them. So I believe that some further negotiations will take place to ensure that we can continue to serve the Ghanaian people. It's not really the problem of the banks. The banks are just a reflection of the state of the economy, and we play a vital role in trying to facilitate transactions and also grow the economy. So whatever decisions are being contemplated is the ordinary people of Ghana, traders, and everybody's whose interests have to be taken into account. Yes, the banks may appear to be at the center of it, but we are playing basically a coordinating role in the economy, and the banks will not be the ones that will be immediately impacted. Everybody else will be impacted. So I believe the authorities will reflect all these concerns as they try to drive the discipline and to make sure the right investments are put in place.
Well, away from issues with the banking sector, now as companies and workplaces gradually recover from the impact of COVID-19, the Chartered Institute of Human Resource Management is embarking on aggressive data protection training for HR professionals across the country. This is to equip them as well as their respective companies for the demands and attendant threats of working remotely and online. Ebenezer Agbetor is the Chief Executive Officer of the Institute. He spoke at the 2021 Annual General Meeting.
Now so much is expected of us, so we have to ensure that our members are doing right at their various institutions, and that is the reason why we decided to carry through a data protection training, which was done virtually, and we had high patronage. We intend doing so as we go forward, just to ensure that our people are acting professionally as expected.
And of course, the threats of working online, digital threats and whatnot, how prepared is HR professionals ahead of the new world of work amid COVID-19?
Indeed, we are constantly updating ourselves. It is a new terrain. And what we are actually letting them know is that just stay tuned. For us, even last year, we came up with some serious guidelines, which was shared, on our website, sent out to all members to ensure that whatever they are doing conforms to, especially the protocols that are expected, that are being given by the government of Ghana. And in addition, also make sure that there are policies and procedures in place to take care of all the intricacies that, is involved in working from home. With that, to making sure that the necessary infrastructure that provides security, in terms of information that flows in and out of the office. So these are all part of what we are trying to put in place and to make our members aware, to ensure that they continue to act professionally, although they will not be in the office per se.
Next, we want to take you around the world for some business news. And those stories ending Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching, everyone. My name is Darryl Kwao. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Enjoy your weekend.